What you were taught to call reality is a limitation, not the edge of what's possible. Yuval Noah Harari. Before we begin, here's a small ritual. Write in the comments one word that accurately describes your current state. Sign it, and let's get started. Everyone thinks there's a secret to success. One key, one formula, one missing piece that changes everything. They scroll through endless videos, sign up for new courses, read self-help books, hoping that, this time, something will finally click. But deep down, it always feels like something is missing, like trying to unlock a door with the wrong key. And when it doesn't work, you start thinking, maybe you're not trying hard enough. Maybe it's your fault. But it's not. You've just been handed pieces of a puzzle with no idea how to put them together. Because the truth is, there isn't just one secret. There are many. And as long as you're waiting for one magical answer, you stay stuck. Most people walk through life with one tool in their pocket, trying to build a house. Some have imagination, but no discipline. Some have faith, but no plan. Some work hard, but don't believe it's possible. Others dream, but never act. And the worst part? The world tells you each of these alone is enough. It's not. And the more you try, using one key on every door, the more hopeless it feels. The system is broken, and nobody told you. That's why nothing changes. Not because you're not doing the work, but because the approach you were sold is incomplete. This might sound harsh, but success isn't about inspiration. It's not about luck. It's not about one morning where everything suddenly shifts. Real transformation comes from something most people never learn to do, combining all the inner tools and turning them into one working system. That's the truth nobody's talking about. And the few who understood it, they changed their lives completely. They didn't wait for motivation. They didn't believe in magic. They stopped choosing between faith and action, between vision and discipline. They used all of it together. That's the part that's been hidden from you. Because once you see how it really works, you can't go back to surface-level advice. You can't unsee the patterns. You stop believing in fake gurus and empty mantras. You stop chasing the next secret. You finally see what actually changes reality. And here's the paradox. It's simple, but most people won't make it through because it requires full commitment. No shortcuts, no maybe, no halfway effort. It asks everything from you. That's why most aren't ready. But if you're still here, still listening, maybe you are. Maybe you've already seen through the lies. Maybe you're tired of playing small. If that's true, then stay. Because I'm going to show you what I learned the hard way. One key at a time. No promises, no magic, just truth. And it starts here. Most people have no idea how close they are. They stand right in front of the door, holding all the pieces, and don't even realize it. That's the real tragedy. You've probably felt it yourself. Those moments where you sense something powerful inside you, but it fades as quickly as it came. Not because it wasn't real, but because no one ever showed you what to do with it. The truth is, the technique that actually changes your life isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things in the right order, with the right level of presence. And that technique has been quietly used by the few who broke through. Those who stopped following motivation and started following a structure that actually works. They didn't get lucky. They weren't born different. They simply stopped waiting for clarity and started using all their tools at once. This hidden method combines 5 elements. Not 1, not 2, all 5. That's why most people fail. They focus on 1, ignore the rest, and then wonder why nothing moves. But when you use all 5, imagination, belief, full action, structure, and persistence, something unlocks. Not just outside, but inside. You don't just see different results. You become someone who creates different results by default. That's what changes reality. It's not about thinking positively or hoping things will work out. It's about rewiring how you move through the world, consciously, deliberately, and repeatedly. And those who've done it, you already know them. Actors, creators, visionaries, the ones who rose from nothing and built everything. They didn't use magic. They used this. And if you're someone who's tired of doing almost enough, who's done with surface-level tips and fake positivity, then this is for you. Because here's the truth. Most psychologists and coaches won't tell you. Real change isn't comfortable. It's precise. And it requires more from you than you've probably ever been asked. But it also gives back more than you ever imagined. Confidence, energy, clarity, direction, a sense of personal power that doesn't fade when things get hard. That's the gift of the system you're about to learn. And no, it's not for everyone. But if you feel something in your chest right now, like a quiet voice saying, "This is it," then maybe it's for you. If you feel that, then stop right now and do two things. First, subscribe to this channel. If this speaks to you, then there are thousands of others who need to hear it too, and your action helps them find it. Second, join the Telegram channel. That's where we go deeper. That's where I share what can't be said publicly. And third, if these words hit something in you, if you feel like you've just seen through years of noise, go to the comments and write, "I'm done running from pain." Let's see how many of us are ready for the truth. Because this isn't about motivation. This is about building a community of people who are finally ready to stop pretending, stop hoping, and start changing everything together. Let's begin with the first key: imagination. Not daydreaming, not fantasizing, but focused, intentional imagination. This is where every shift begins. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between what you imagine vividly and what you experience in reality. That's why high performers don't just hope things will work. They see them working before they happen. They rehearse the future so clearly that their body, mind, and emotions start to respond as if it's already real. That emotional rehearsal, repeated enough times, changes how you show up. You stop doubting. You stop hesitating. You step into a version of yourself that's already living the outcome you want. The problem is, most people imagine failure. They visualize disappointment, and then wonder why their life keeps repeating the same pattern. Imagination is always working. You're just not using it with intention. Actors like Jim Carrey knew this. Long before anyone knew his name, he would drive up to the Hollywood Hills, park his car, and visualize producers calling him, handing him roles, writing him million-dollar checks. He even wrote himself a $10 million check for acting services rendered, and carried it in his wallet for years. Years later, he received a check for exactly that amount for his role in Dumb and Dumber. Coincidence? Or the result of training his nervous system to feel deserving before it was socially acceptable to believe it? This isn't about magic. It's neurobiology, and the elite use it all the time. Whether they tell you or not, your imagination sets the foundation. But it's not enough by itself. That's where most people stop. They visualize a better life, but take no action. Or they act, but with doubt and fear, sabotaging every move. Imagination has to be paired with belief, deep, cellular belief. Not just hope, not, "I wish this could happen." Belief says, "It already belongs to me. I'm just aligning with it now." And when that belief meets consistent mental imagery, the brain starts to delete all the stories of "I can't," and replace them with, "This is already happening," that's when things begin to shift. You stop playing small. You stop making decisions from fear. You start acting like someone who's already there, not someone still begging to be allowed in. But none of this works unless you do. Vision without motion is delusion. And that's where we go next. Because once you've seen the life you want and built the belief that it's possible, the next step is full, unapologetic, all-in action. Not the kind of action most people take, half effort, one foot in, waiting for results before they commit. Real action means moving forward before you're ready. It means doing it scared, doing it anyway. That's what separates dreamers from creators. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Belief is not a feeling. It's not something that shows up after enough evidence. Real belief comes first. It's a decision, a moment where you choose to see yourself as already capable, already enough, already aligned with the life you want, even when nothing outside you confirms it yet. That's why so many people never break through. They wait to feel confident. They wait for permission. They wait for signs. But creators, builders, visionaries, they don't wait. They choose to believe first, and then they act like it's already real. That's what creates the evidence. That's what builds momentum. Not waiting for certainty, but creating it through action. Because belief without action is just fantasy, and action without belief is just empty movement. You need both, fully, at the same time. This is where most people pull back. They visualize, they affirm, they tell themselves it's possible. But when it's time to move, to speak, to publish, to launch, to show up fully, they freeze, they hesitate, they shrink, and the gap between who they are and who they want to be grows wider. Because it's not enough to know what you want. You have to move like it's already yours. That's the shift. All in action isn't about perfection, it's about decision. It's about removing the back door, burning the plan B, doing it as if you couldn't fail. Because that's what tells your nervous system, this is safe, this is real, this is happening. The more you hesitate, the more your brain reads the dream as dangerous. But when you act boldly, repeatedly, your biology adapts, your confidence grows, your fear shrinks. Look at someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He didn't start with perfect English, connections, or approval. He had belief, and then he acted, boldly, publicly, repeatedly. He trained like he was already a champion. He walked into America like he was already famous. He didn't ask the world for permission. He declared who he was becoming. And then he moved like it was inevitable. That's what makes action powerful. Not that it's perfect, but that it's congruent with belief. You don't wait to become ready. You move as if it's already happening. Because that alignment between belief and behavior is what shifts the external world. And until you do that, nothing changes. You stay stuck in preparation. But once you commit fully, reality begins to reorganize itself around you. Now here's where it gets deeper, because even belief and bold action won't sustain you without the next piece. Discipline, the structure that holds everything together. The part everyone resists, but nobody can skip. That's what we're stepping into next. The real foundation of consistency, identity, and long-term transformation. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't get applause. It doesn't feel exciting. But it's the glue that holds everything together. Imagination gives you the vision. Belief gives you the fire. Action gives you momentum. But discipline, that's what turns all of it into lasting reality. Without discipline, your vision stays an idea. Without repetition, your actions stay random. And that's the trap. Most people think results come from doing something once with intensity, but real transformation comes from doing something 100 times with intention. That's where power builds, quietly, repetitively, without validation, while no one is watching. The truth is, discipline isn't punishment. It's self-respect in action. It's saying, this matters enough that I'll show up even when I don't feel like it. People like Dwayne Johnson didn't become global icons because of one movie or one lucky break. He became who he is through relentless discipline, early mornings, daily training, repeating the same routine for years. Not because it was easy, but because it was non-negotiable. That's what separates people who break through from those who burn out. Discipline isn't about rigidity. It's about loyalty to your vision. It's the moment when you decide that your dream deserves consistency, not just bursts of motivation, but actual structure. That's when your nervous system starts to trust you. That's when your results stop fluctuating. You become stable, predictable, focused, and from that, power grows. And here's what most people miss. Discipline doesn't just help you succeed, it builds identity. The more consistently you act, the more your brain says, this is who I am now. That's why repetition matters, not for the outcome, but for who you become in the process. Every time you show up when it's hard, you carve a new pattern. Every time you keep going when no one claps, you wire in resilience. And after a while, you stop needing motivation at all. You just move, naturally, automatically, because it's who you are now. That's what real change looks like. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's invisible at first. Until one day, everyone asks how you did it. And you'll know the truth. You didn't get lucky, you got consistent. But here's the thing. Discipline without direction leads to burnout. You can't just work hard. You have to work with clarity, with strategy, with alignment. That's why the next piece is non-negotiable. A clear plan, a map, a way to track where you are and where you're headed. That's what brings all the previous keys into precision. And that's what we're diving into next. The plan that turns movement into progress and dreams into measurable results. A dream without a plan is just a distraction. You can imagine, believe, act, and even show up with discipline. But if there's no clear direction, no structure guiding your energy, you end up burned out and frustrated. A plan gives shape to the vision. It connects the future with the present by answering one simple question. What exactly needs to happen next? Not someday, not soon, but today, this week, this month. Most people drift because they never take the time to break their goals into steps. They want change, but they're moving blindly, hoping it all somehow comes together. That's not how reality bends. Reality responds to precision. It follows clarity, and clarity only comes when you make the decision to lead your life like a project, not a gamble. Look at someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger again. His vision wasn't just big, it was organized. He didn't just say, I want to be famous. He mapped it out. Bodybuilding championships, English lessons, acting training, business moves, politics. He approached his life like a mission, not a mood. That's what most people miss. You don't need to know every detail from the start, but you do need structure. You need checkpoints. You need to sit down weekly and ask, what moved me forward? What held me back? What needs to change? That one habit, weekly reflection and adjustment can collapse years of confusion. Suddenly, you stop reacting and start creating. Your life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you lead. And that leads to the final piece, responsibility. Real, uncomfortable, liberating responsibility. This is the shift most people avoid, but it's also the one that unlocks everything. The moment you stop blaming circumstances, people, timing, or your past and say, "This is mine now, I own it all," that moment changes your chemistry. You stop waiting, you stop complaining, you stop outsourcing your future to luck. Responsibility is not blame, it's power. It's the full acceptance that you are the common denominator in every part of your life. And that means you're also the solution. When you own that, things move quickly, not because life gets easier, but because your energy becomes focused, clean, directed. That's when the noise drops away. That's when clarity replaces chaos. That's when doors open, not because they magically appear, but because you finally see them and walk through without hesitation. These 5 elements, imagination, belief, full action, discipline, and planning, together form the system. The real technique, the one that's rarely talked about, not because it's complicated, but because it requires more than people want to give. But if you've made it this far, you already know. This isn't about wanting, it's about choosing. And what you choose next will either keep you where you've always been or take you somewhere completely different. The last part of this conversation is the hardest, but also the most important. Let's finish this. These 5 elements aren't just helpful, they're essential. Each one is a piece of the same mechanism. And if you remove even one, the entire system loses power. Imagination without belief stays a dream. Belief without action turns into frustration. Action without discipline leads to burnout. Discipline without a plan becomes mechanical and empty. And a plan without ownership goes nowhere. Every piece matters. Every piece supports the next. This is why so many people feel like they're working hard, but getting nowhere. They're missing critical parts of the formula. They rely on motivation instead of structure, or they visualize but never execute, or they act without checking direction. It's not that they're lazy, it's that they've never been taught how the pieces connect. When these elements come together, something shifts. You start seeing results, not because you're working harder, but because your energy is aligned. You feel more focused, more stable. You make decisions faster. You recover from setbacks without collapsing. You move through fear instead of freezing in it. That's what happens when the system is complete. You become a different kind of person. The kind who no longer needs to chase opportunities because you're ready when they come. The kind who no longer needs to be pushed because your momentum carries itself. And most importantly, the kind who finally realizes that success, fulfillment, peace, and power aren't outside of you. They're inside. But they only come alive when you use the right keys, together, consistently. So try it. Don't just listen. Test it in real life. Use all 5. Choose a goal. Imagine it in detail. Build belief until it feels real. Take bold action. Stay disciplined when it gets boring. Create a plan and track it. Own the outcome fully. Then watch what happens. Watch how your mind changes. Watch how the world responds. It might feel unfamiliar at first. It might even feel uncomfortable. But it will work. Not instantly, not easily, but deeply. Because this isn't a hack. It's a system. And systems don't care how you feel. They work if you work them. If you understand what this means, subscribe to this channel. This space is for people who are done chasing secrets and ready to build something real. And join the Telegram channel too. That's where I share the raw, unfiltered depth of this work. If this video changed something in you, if you felt seen, challenged, or called forward, Go to the comments right now and write, "I accept my shadow." Write it as a personal commitment, as a line in the sand. Let's see how many of us are ready to stop running and start building. Together. This is only the beginning.